Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dungeon of Deadly Delights. I'm
Course Rob, and this is my wife Melody. Melody, what's going on? Hellfire and brimstone. Yes.
First of all, we always want to thank you for your continued love and support. If you're new here, if you're watching us from TikTok or whatever it is, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps us with the algorithm.
This guy, he begs way too much. I'm just saying.
Well, we want to be successful.
Yes.
So,
Facts.
this would be the perfect time to make a deal with the devil, I think.
I mean, go back to church.
All right, so if you guys are not familiar with this particular episode, we are going to be talking about Satanic Panic films in honor of the release of Apartment 7A, which is the Rosemary's Baby prequel you can now see on Paramount Plus. I give that 2 horns up. What do you think, babe?
Yes, definitely.
I think it was great. I think they did a really great job, with the motif, the 60s motif. I think Julia Garner was awesome in that role. I think it's really cool that, I don't know if you know this or not, but how long it's been since you've seen the original Rosemary's Baby, but she's supposed to be
a long time.
the girl that Rosemary encounters in the apartment in the Brahms,
Oh, okay.
who jumps out the window.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Diane Wiest, of course, from Edward Scissorhands and a bunch of other stuff, was supposed to be Minnie Castevet, played by Ruth Gordon, who won an Academy Award for her role in Rosemary's Baby. So she just kind of had the same sing-songy, New York thing going.
Yeah.
I think hers was a little more of a caricature than Ruth Gordon was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome. And it's also the 15th anniversary of one of our favorite films, Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
Which I have championed ever since it was first released, and I got a lot of shit for that. But we'll get into that later. So, let's conjure up some demons, Mel. What do you say?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
This episode is actually called Hell is for Horror. And we're going to start off our episode with a newer film. Actually, it came out in 2023. Man, really blew people's minds. I think definitely, blew my mind. I mean, this is a project that was actually produced by the United Arab Emirates, I believe, and then the UK and the States. And that's why, remember when you play the movie the first time, there were so many different logos in the beginning?
Yeah, that was
it took,
a lot.
18 minutes to go through.
It was a lot. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's why. But
Okay.
we're going to be talking about Late Night with the Devil.
Oh my God, this movie was so good. I loved it.
I agree.
I always say that about all the movies we picked, though.
Not really. We agree that some of them kind of stink a little bit, but they're worth talking about.
Facts, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, Late Night with the Devil, Mel. This is starring David Smolchin, who I've always, loved as a character actor. I'm so happy to see him always progressing in terms of his career. He definitely deserves it. Also a huge horror fan, by the way. As a matter of fact, he got the Jack Delroy role because he wrote an article for Fangoria magazine that the directors had seen. He was talking about late night horror show hosts, like local late night horror show hosts in an article.
Okay.
He's a huge guy, huge guy in horror. He actually has a horror show host character. He does a comic book based on a horror show host. Dude's really, really ingrained in our genre. So he definitely deserves everything he gets.
Yes.
But yeah, what did you think about Late Night with the Devil?
Oh my God. This movie sucked me in so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It just it grips you and it pulls you in. So, can I get into this?
Of course.
Okay, so obviously this man has his own late night show. He wants to become a super hot late night show host, and he decides to do horror stuff, which we love that. The only thing is that he had to pretty much sacrifice somebody in his life to be able to actually get what he wanted, and sadly it was his wife.
His wife Madeline, yeah, who was just this stunning starlet of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so basically how it plays out is Melody, as she said before, he's a late night talk show host. It's set in the late 70s. He's competing with Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnny Carson is always number one, but Jack Delroy and Night Owls is always right behind him. So he tries to come up with something a little more intense. Which the reason why I guess the directors decided to do this is because if you go back and watch late night talk shows in the 70s and stuff, like even with the animal wranglers and shit that would come out with Johnny Carson, like some of these animals could have ripped his face off at any given point. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So it was just so like, you know, there was so much more grit to late night talk shows back then.
Yeah.
But you know, then of course, you know, there were also, you know, some supernatural things that would happen with psychics coming in and, you know, that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like the Amazing Kreskin or whatnot. So that's where they came up with the idea for that. So Jack is, you know, he's elite, man. He's rich. He hangs out in Bohemian Grove with all the other wealthy
yes.
people. Which, I can't stand the guy, but I don't know if you remember this, but there was actually... There's supposedly Alex Jones like exposed that whole thing. Like he actually snuck into Bohemian Grove and like took pictures of like the big statue.
There's
of the
like
album.
some videos and stuff like that you can see. Yeah.
But supposedly that area is completely off limits. Like you can't even go anywhere near.
No, it's only for the total elite, like the world leaders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they show them in robes like I'm wearing right now, and they have a big, huge statue of Moloch the Owl that they worship. It's pretty wild, and it's presidents and politicians and all
world
kinds
leaders.
of people.
Yeah, world leaders.
And apparently
Kings,
late night talk show hosts.
princes. Yep.
Jimmy Fallon.
I don't even think they allow women, do they? It's just men.
I think it's also women too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so yeah, you were saying about the show, the Jack Delroy show, the Night Owl show.
Yeah. So basically, he decides to do a Halloween episode, and he has a friend that is a psychologist that's working with a young girl that is actually possessed by the devil, and they decide to bring this young girl on. And he actually asks for her to bring forth the demon.
Well, can I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically, he has a hypnotist / denier. He's got a guy who can see stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's got divination or something like that.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, the main event is this woman comes out. She was writing a book called Conversations with the Devil, where this young girl, Lily Diabo, I believe her name is, she was found in a cult that had all committed suicide or something. And I think they were all, if I'm not mistaken, worshiping an entity called Abraxas or something like that. Yeah. So a bunch of weird stuff happens. Christo, the guy that can, you know, foresee stuff, he starts freaking out and then throwing up like black liquid and stuff. And you know, there's this other guy that's just sitting there the entire time. It's like, this is bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could tell you why. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, you know, he can just dismantle everything supposedly.
This demon comes forth, and basically, the whole thing gets really weird. Like, some people just start dying.
Well, Christo ends up like you said, he ends up like throwing up black blood or something.
Yeah, but he ends up so they send him off in an ambulance.
And he dies.
He ends up dying on the way to the hospital, and then you know, basically this guy wants to be famous, and the demon's telling him, oh, you're gonna be infamous. So this whole he's telling people.
Sorry, the entity in Lily is named Mr. Wriggles or something like that. And Mr. Wriggles, through her, supposedly says to Jack, "It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you since the retreat." Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, he gets thrown into this whole he doesn't know what's real and what's not real kind of situation, and it gets really crazy. Really, really, really crazy. Like, is he seeing things? Is it really happening? He's seeing people being killed in front of him, but is he the one doing the killing? That's a thing. And he's telling people through the camera, don't watch this, turn it off. Don't watch this, turn it off. Because that's what this Mr. Wriggles wants. He wants you to watch it.
We're always praising Shudder. Shudder's bringing out some really great stuff.
Oh, yeah, they are.
This is, I think, the first one that really kind of set out the carpet for them in terms of
set the tone,
original films. Yeah. Mm-hmm. As we're recording this, it is actually Ty West's birthday. He's one of my favorite modern visionaries.
Happy birthday, brother!
Absolutely. But we're not going to be talking about the X trilogy. We're going to be talking about one of his first films he's ever done, which is House of the Devil.
Yes.
I do have a little bit of history with this one. All I can tell you is I don't want to get into too much into detail, but years ago I had a radio show. Melody remembers this,
Yes.
and Tom Noonan, the tall man that plays Mr. Ullman in
Yes.
the movie, he's a very intimidating man.
Yeah. He's very sweet though.
Very intimidating man.
Yeah, he's intimidating.
But yeah, it was an interesting experience with Mr. Noonan when we were talking to him on the show when I was doing that. But anyway, he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But also Greta Gerwig's in it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, the director of Barbie, like $1 billion baby, Greta Gerwig,
Yeah.
the one that likes to eat, constantly eating in the movie. Constantly eating pizza. She's eating like old lady candies at the other people's house. Like she constantly has food, which might signify that she was pregnant. I don't know.
Who knows?
But anyway, this is about a student who she meets up with one of our favorite ladies, Dee Wallace, and Dee Wallace is a landlord, and she's just like really cool about it. She's like, look, you know, you give me the deposit, I'll give you the apartment. You know, don't even worry about it. Now, young kids are just trying to get off the ground. I definitely I can definitely.
It's just
work
a
with
college
you.
student, yeah.
So what does she do, Mel?
She looks for a job to make some money so she can get this deposit and get this place.
Yeah. So this is actually
Pay her rent, yeah.
Right. So this is set in the 80s, 1982, 83, around that time. It was filmed in 16 millimeter. A lot of the shots were very like fashionable to that particular area. Everything that Ty West, put into the movie in terms of the furniture. You got old Walkmans, like there's a scene where she's dancing around to the Fix, one thing leads to another. Everything is so connected to the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? In such an amazing way. So she tries to find a job. How does she try to find a job?
I think she looks on the ads. Oh, she finds an ad on a board that they're looking. The couple's looking for a babysitter. It was like what, $200?
Old school.
It's like it was like $200 or something like that. But it was like a message board at the college. So she basically takes the whole thing so nobody can get this. And she calls the guy, and he says, "Okay, well, I need you tonight. We need someone to watch our kids so we can go out." So she takes up the job, and she has a friend drop her off.
She has Greta Gerwig drop her off, yeah. And Greta Gerwig, the thing that's so great about this character is like, she's the only one that's wary the entire time. The only one that actually understands her surroundings. Where the hell are we? Why am I dropping you off here? What are you doing? What are you thinking? Why is this so important to you?
Right.
You know what I mean? She's constantly just facing her surroundings. And of course her friend's not listening to her because she's just like, look, I can make money here, and get this place, and that's all I really care about. So she meets up with the Ullmans, who are Tom Noonan and the great Mary Warnoff, who you know from Night of the Comet and Rock and Roll High School. She's a, she's an icon in cult classic cinema. She's a Roger Corman elite, but she's in this movie, and they're both very scary looking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So Tom Noonan basically tells her, look, I shouldn't have lied, but we don't have any children, and I have an elderly mother that I need you to take care of.
Yeah.
She's upstairs. You don't need to worry about it.
She doubles the price on him. She makes him pay more. Cash up front.
$400.
And he does it. So she stays, and her friend leaves, and they show her around and leave her a phone number to get pizza.
They leave her phone number to get pizza. They say that they're going to an eclipse party. That's where they say they're going. And then Greta Gerwig ends up leaving, very reluctantly, by the way, where she's just like, no, I don't want to do this, whatever. And she's like, if anything happens, you call me right away and I'll come get you. So she stops off in a graveyard. Safest place to be, as Eric Draven said in The Crow. The same guy as the pizza delivery guy. He drops the pizza off, and she breaks a vase. She's like dancing around, with her Walkman. She's trying to find whatever she can do to pass the time. Starts cutting slices of this pizza, and then it turns out it's drugged.
Yep. She wakes up and finds herself in the basement.
Nah, in the third floor. Remember, she wasn't allowed on the third floor because of the old mother?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out the reason why is... Oh, there's one thing we should mention, too, is that when she's looking through the house, she realizes that there's pictures of a different family in the house. And that's one thing I don't understand.
The room, because the room that she was told not to go in
Yeah.
is the room that actually has the dead bodies of the family that actually lived there.
Right, and that's the one thing I don't understand. You know what I mean? Unless they're living in some sort of cave or under the ground or something. Like, why would you kill another family just to use their house to sacrifice somebody during an eclipse? I don't understand that. You know what I mean? It's a very odd.
Maybe they don't want to get their own personal,
I guess.
the house dirty, you know.
Oh yeah, sure, but like, you know, murder an entire family and hide them in a closet.
Right.
It seems a lot better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, why not? Right.
But yeah, so you know, she's in this third floor. It turns out the mother that she's supposed to be taking care of is an old witch, and she starts doing the whole satanic hoodoo voodoo, like, you know, putting marks on her with, you know, with her blood and making her drink like goat's blood out of a chalice. And then it turns out that she starts getting pregnant really quick.
Yeah.
And then she escapes. And then I don't think we're giving too much away, but you know, I mean, it's a pretty simple premise, honestly.
Yeah.
So what happens after that? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
So basically, she ends up at the hospital, and the only reason she knows that she's pregnant is that the nurse says, because what happens is she has a confrontation with the Ullmans. She ends up killing his wife. Ullman has a confrontation with her out in the graveyard where her friend gets killed. And, you know, he basically says, you know, like, you're going to have to come back with us, you know, blah, blah, blah. And instead of shooting him, she shoots herself in the head. So she comes to in the hospital after, you know, getting out of a coma. And that's when the nurse tells her, oh, don't worry, both of you are fine.
That's how she found out she was pregnant. Oh my God, that's right.
She's pregnant
Which
with the emperor.
had to happen during the eclipse.
Yeah. Our next deadly delight, when it comes to Hell is for Horror, is a film that actually Melody introduced me 2 years ago. And, you know, like, I was, you know, kind of keen. Well, I mean, you know, like, indie films, you know, at that time weren't as, like, I don't know, as popular as they are now. You know what I mean?
But I had worked on a lot of indie films, so I knew that there was some out there that was really good.
Yeah, so
Really good.
she introduced me not only to this film, but also to the work of Alex Esso, and she's absolutely one of my favorite character actors. She's fantastic.
She's
And
amazing.
Mike Flanagan's work,
Yes.
you know, playing Wendy Torrance, you know, in the moments that she did in Doctor Sleep. God rest your soul, Shelley Duvall. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Starry Eyes,
This movie is so good.
which I
So
think is
good.
probably one of the best independent horror films ever made.
Oh my God, this movie is amazing, amazing, amazing.
So, as we said before, this stars Alex Esso. This was a movie that was, believe it or not, was actually kickstarted to, you know, become successful, to actually, like, get made. But yeah, do you want to talk about this one?
All right, so this young woman is, she's living out in California. She's working at this, you know,
Like a hamburger.
it's like hamburger, but it's like a Hooters. You know what I mean? And she's an actress, and she's, you know, she's trying really hard to get
Struggling.
to break it. She's struggling. And she has this habit of when she gets frustrated, she grabs her and she rips her hair out.
But it doesn't help that her friends are constantly trying to fucking steal her roles.
Oh, well, yes, the one guy that she really likes, he's dating this one girl, and she's constantly, like, demeaning and demoralizing her, and being very passive-aggressive about it, and stealing roles from her and stuff. And, you know, you have this young group of independent filmmakers. They're like, oh, we're going to make a movie, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like...
Just so they can have pool parties and grope these girls and shit.
Yeah, she's just wanting to, like...
She wants to be a star.
She wants to be a star, you know what I mean? So she goes to this call for I guess a production that is actually pretty well known. It's like legit.
It's called Silver Scream. It's something that she finds as like an ad or something. And then, like, you know, when she gets there, like, everybody's just really kind of like crimson. They don't really talk all that much. And she just kind of stands there and does her audition. And then they're just like,
Okay. Next.
Great. Next, and then she goes to the bathroom. She starts ripping her hair out.
And she has a freak out. And
One of the producers or something actually sees this. They're just like, "Oh, we like the cut of your jib." You know what I mean?
We want you to come back in.
Yeah, come back in and rip your hair out in front of us.
And so they bring her in for a second interview.
They tell her to disrobe.
Yeah, they tell her to disrobe, and they're like, well, we want you to be free. So she quits her job, and she's like, oh, no, you're right. I got to pursue my dreams, And she goes for the last step, the last interview. And she meets the main producer.
Well, this is after her friend, who you said is an indie, director, quote unquote, says, I have a part for you, and we're having a pool party, and we're going to celebrate and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. That's when she goes to the third interview, because that's important.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So she goes to the third interview, and basically the guy is like touching her leg and basically insinuating it's a casting couch kind of situation, that you got to open the gate. Is that what it was? Got to open the gate.
Got to open the gate.
And she freaks out. She runs out, and she tells her roommate what happens, and her roommate blabs her mouth.
Well, she finds out also that the director that she's into is kissing her friend Aaron, or kissing this Aaron.
Yeah. And so, she kind of goes off on everybody, and then they're like, oh, no. I'm so glad you didn't do that. Well, you know what? Then she says, fuck it.
And then she knocks on his palatial door and blows the producer.
Mm-hmm. Which opens the gate. Pretty much, her hair starts falling out. Her body starts to fall apart. And then she finds out that she has to sacrifice her old life. She has to sacrifice all her friends to be able to get what she really wants. And they're like, don't you want to be a star? We want to make you a star. But you have to sacrifice this old life of yours. So then it turns
There's actually
into...
one thing that we should also mention too, is that these producers are part of a company called Astraeus Productions, which, obviously is code for this is what we're worshipping, which is like this, Greek entity or whatever. They all have these like really, God, I wish they sold these. These are beautiful.
Oh, they're
necklaces
amulets?
that they all have.
Yeah.
The amulets, yeah. But that was
it's an occult. Yeah.
But that's your giveaway that there's something up with these people.
Yeah, it's an occult. So basically, she's falling apart. Her eyes are dead. She smells really bad. Her hair's falling out. And they tell her. They send her money to pay all her rent. And she goes to the house where all her friends are, or the friends are, and she kills everybody. She kills them all.
Pretty brutally, especially Aaron. She she fucks her up with a plastic bag.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a really intense scene. But
she kills everybody in
right.
there.
But when she does that, she goes back to the producers, and
they bury her.
And she wakes up in this kind of weird membrane, this living membrane.
Yeah.
She rips out of it, and then she's got flawless skin, hairless skin,
green eyes,
beautiful green eyes. She is bald though.
She is bald. She had to be reborn.
Yeah.
So she goes back to her house and
kills Aaron.
Well,
Tracy.
She
her roommate.
Well, first things first, she gets changed. She gets dressed. She puts on the wig, and then she.
They gift her with a box, and it's like a wig, dress, the Astraeus logo that she has for herself.
Yep.
She's literally part of.
Yeah, she's part of the occult now, and she kills her roommate.
Yep.
She kills her roommate, and that's that. Now she's the queen of the ball. The belle of the ball.
Yeah, the belle of the... Yeah. But yeah, I like that they leave it open-ended. We don't necessarily know what happens after that. Does she become a full-fledged A-list star after,
I think they do make her an A-list star after that. That was the whole point. Every actress that had gone through there had become
You don't necessarily
super
have
famous.
to work your way up in terms of auditions and shit anymore.
Yeah, I know. Now you're made.
Yeah, they see her green eyes and are just like, oh, we got a part just for you. With next to Tom Cruise, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, she's made. Yeah. She'll never have to struggle again.
Our next Deadly Delight, when it comes to Hell's for Horror, is another film that, this is our horror comedy. We need to throw one in there. And I think this is a really good one. I think it definitely, has some, legs to, become a cult classic. It's been out for 5 years. It's actually celebrating its 5th anniversary right now. Wow, like we actually mentioned something on one of our social media pages, and everybody saw it. Ruby Modine, Haley Griffith, Chelsea Stardust, the director. They were very kind and appreciative of the fact that we love this movie, so thank you for that. We really do. It's an awesome movie, but it's called Satanic Panic. It was a Fangoria release. I think it was a DVD release. I think it had like a very, very, very limited run in like a few theaters or whatever, just for the, shit for kicks, you know what I mean? I think there's a few things that stand out. Haley Griffith, who plays Sam Kraft, she's the pizza delivery girl. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's made so much other stuff. She's got comedic timing. She has that kind of, that final girl thing going on. She was awesome in the movie.
Yeah.
Ruby Modine, who was in Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, the sequel and stuff. That was her. Remember, that was the roommate that was given the cupcake. Yeah. She's awesome in this movie. Rebecca Romaine is awesome in this movie. She plays Danica Cross.
Mm-hmm. The one that was supposed to be the virgin?
No. Ruby was the daughter of Danica. Danica is the head of the coven of the Satanic coven. Right.
She was gonna sacrifice her own daughter, and she was supposed to stay a virgin, but then she busted in on her daughter getting laid.
Yep. You want to talk about this movie a little bit?
Just a little bit. Okay, so you got this young lady. She has to deliver all these pizzas out into this neighborhood, which is like a bougie area, and everybody's like, all the other people are like, ew, no, I don't want to go there. But you got to go. So she goes to this and says...
Well, hang on. Before you do that, the whole setup is that she's trying to make some money. She goes to this, like, shitty apartment in this trashy... she's actually, like, a really prominent face in, like, horror media. Her name's Clark Wolf. And she says something really ignorant to her and just throws a bunch of fucking change in her hand. It's laundry day or some shit. And then she goes to this old woman. This old woman's like... oh, this is going to fit you so nicely. And she gives her, like, this shitty little sweater and stuff. She's not making any money. And then, basically she goes back to the pizza shop, and all the pizza guys are basically like, hey, man, that's out of my jurisdiction. She's like, I'll totally take it.
Yeah, well, the problem is she gets there, and then they don't tip her
at
all. And she doesn't have enough gas to get back on her little moped or motorbike, you know what I mean? Yeah. So she busts into this house.
She's like, I'm taking something.
She's like, she busts into this house. Oh, wait, no, they didn't pay her.
Yeah, they didn't pay her. So she finds a way into the house. And at first she's like, I'm fucking taking something. Then she realizes they're actually there.
Yeah.
And has the nerve to just go up to everybody who's actually at, like, some sort of soiree. Yeah. And she's like, excuse me.
You need to pay for this. You know what I mean? And then... Go ahead.
Gypsy is the kind of the second ringleader to Danica, or Rebecca Romaine's character, and they basically see this young girl, and they go, "Are you a virgin?" Oh, she's a virgin. And they grab her.
Yep.
So I what I really enjoy about this movie is that, like, it is saying something, especially now, with the whole situation with Roe v. Wade. Freedom of choice when it comes to, woman's freedoms, her own, bodily freedoms and stuff. It does actually have that kind of slant to it. You know what I mean? Because she's just kind of getting thrown to the wolves and has no real, like, there's no agency there at all. You know what I mean? Like, Jerry O'Connell plays her disgusting husband, Danica's husband.
Oh my God, that's right, Jerry O'Connell.
And she throws him in a room with this guy, and, like, he's just basically, like, licking her face and just like, oh, if we have sex right now, I can save you, and, like, you know what I mean? Like,
she's like, ew, get off me.
Like, ew, get off me. And then he accidentally shoots himself because he's a fucking idiot. So
he is an idiot. He is a total idiot. Yeah.
So she runs out and she goes to another house, and then I guess innocently it looks like there's some sort of babysitter there or something, and then it turns out there's this other girl that lives in the house, and they're both part of the coven in some way, and
they're all part of the coven.
And this girl comes running out with a fucking dildo strapped to her, like with a drill on it.
Yeah, because they're torturing somebody upstairs. Yeah.
And then it turns out that Danica's daughter is in the room because, like, you know, I guess they were going to kill her because, like you said, she got laid and she wasn't supposed to.
Right.
She was supposed to be the sacrifice. You know, so I mean, the cool thing about this movie, like, there's some really intense scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, like, you know, when Danica, when Rebecca Romaine's character and Ruby are making these, you know, incantations happen.
Well, they're writing all those incantations all over her body.
There's
too.
one really intense one where, like, they're making her bleed out in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, Sam has no idea how to do this shit. And she's just showing her how to mark her body, like, the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, just write this real quick with, like, a marker or something. You know what I mean? Like, she's just bleeding out in all these different orifices, you know, her eyes, her nose.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene.
That was a really cool scene, yeah.
There was some tense shit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is pretty much one of those movies where, like, you know, socialites worshipping something to, you know, gain
power, money,
keep their power, keep their, you know, their looks and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Do you want to talk about the ending though? Because the ending's the best part.
Oh my god, this ending is. So she goes back to the house, okay, and they're basically strapping her to this altar
with her daughter.
With her, yeah, and then with her daughter, and okay, I gotta let you talk about this because there's like, I think there's like some little demon that shows up.
So basically, they're going to impregnate her, you know, typical like satanic panic shit.
Yeah.
With Satan's baby, right? So she basically says, she has this mantra that keeps her calm, something about two little bunnies. And then instead of the Antichrist, she actually gives birth to two bunnies.
Yep.
And somehow one of the bunnies ends up dying or something. She ends up getting to keep one. But there's this little girl that is running around the yard, and it's supposed to be the human embodiment of, I believe, Samazel or something, who is, I think, in the rung of, you know, demonship or whatever, is supposed to be higher than, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're pissed that, you know, they're not worshiping them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, there was something also with the, you know, with Ruby in the incantation circle or something. She smudges it or something, so she's, you know, that's why the demon's able to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, basically the coven gets destroyed brutally.
It's slaughtered.
Brutally.
Yeah.
But then Sam decides that she's going to move to Australia, and she's going to take her little bunny baby with her.
She gave birth to a bunny.
She did give birth to a bunny. So, you know, I mean, there's something there, you know, if you want to continue that story. Is it a bunny or is it the Antichrist? Is it the bunny an Antichrist? You know?
Why not? I mean, you remember that one movie where it had a killer bunny in it?
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Our next Deadly Delight, when it comes to Hell is for Horror, is a film that Melody absolutely loves. I have a deep love for this movie. I know that
it has Keanu Reeves in it.
It has Keanu Reeves in it. It's called Constantine.
Yes.
You know, I know he's been making the rounds. He's been wanting to do a sequel for quite some time. I don't know if that's ever going to come about, but
yeah, I don't know, man.
I think this movie is really fucking underrated.
Sure.
I really do. Do you want to get into a little backstory before we talk about the movie? Because it's kind of fascinating. So
go ahead, babe. You want to do your backstory thing. I know you love it.
Yeah. So I am also kind of, you know, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool comic book nerd, so I do know a lot of this kind of stuff. And John Constantine was actually introduced in Saga the Swamp Thing, which is something that Alan Moore, the writer Alan Moore, created. And just like the show that you used to watch years ago,
yeah.
Constantine, you know, like he was supposed to be a Londoner, and he's, you know, his you know, the impression of him, or, you know, his facial features and stuff that were actually based on Sting from the Police. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So yeah, so this actual comic book introduction became Hellblazer, which originally was going to be Hellraiser. That was the name of the comic. It was going to originally be Hellraiser. But John Constantine never looked like Keanu Reeves. So they went like a whole different route. Constantine, Mel, what do you think about this movie? I know you love it.
I love this movie. You know, this is one of my throwbacks where I like to watch when I just want to, you know.
It's your comfort food.
Yeah, it's a comfort food for me. So John Constantine is he's a exorcist extraordinaire. Okay, and
he's a bioexorcist.
He's yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Make the living. Anyway, so the whole point is that he can actually see demons, and he can communicate with them, and he can send them back to hell.
Yep. He's been to hell numerous times.
Yeah.
You know.
And there is a young woman who has a twin sister in this movie, and in the beginning of the movie, her twin sister ends up throwing herself off the top of a building. And she is in the psych ward at a hospital.
Well, hang on a second. It's Angela Dodson, played by Rachel Weisz.
She actually throws herself off the top of a building, and the sister's like, she wouldn't do that. She's severely Catholic. Like, she's very religious. She would never kill herself. Something happened. And she tries to go to the church to get the church to help her, and they're like, she committed suicide. And she's like, it's not suicide. They're like, yeah, it's suicide. Well, Constantine actually ends up getting involved with this. Not that he wanted to. He was kind of like led into the whole situation.
Because when Isabel dropped, like she actually said his name on the tape.
Yeah.
Because it was actually like recorded on security cameras.
So they end up connecting through the movie. They end up connecting, and he actually goes to hell.
That's one of the best things because he's a fucking asshole. She comes in. By the way, she's a police detective.
Yeah, she's.
And there might be something with her when it comes to like premonition. When it comes to.
Well, because she has abilities.
Absolutely, she's been hiding them for years.
Yeah.
But he's such an asshole. He really is an asshole.
Well, he ends up saving her.
And she
from a
goes,
bunch of
"I
demons."
need you to show me the way." And he goes, "Sure." And he points to the door.
Yeah. But he does end up saving her from a bunch of demons, too. And then he actually goes into hell, and he finds her sister. And he has proof that her sister is in hell.
Yeah, I want to mention something about this, particular, scene when, it comes to hell and stuff. I think they wanted to make it feel like there was, like, this constant nuclear blast that was happening, the whole time. And that's, why it just felt like that, in terms of the effects and stuff when he's walking through. So they got a lot of focus from, old, where they used to experiment with atom bombs and stuff. That's where they kind of got the idea for that look for hell, and it's pretty dope because you never see that.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good. So they end up. Obviously he shows her that she's in hell.
Basically, the whole situation with the movie is John Constantine is friends with devils. He's friends with, people all throughout the occult. He befriends Gabriel, played by the wonderful Tilda Swinton.
Love her.
Who, everybody is, so distrustful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Balthazar, for God's sake, is played by, from Bush.
Okay.
And Gavin Rossdale.
Okay, yeah.
Fantastic as that demon.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. So basically it's like Constantine is helping this sister try to find out the situation with her sister, and then it turns out that there is I think it was the son of Satan, Ammon. And
trying to,
it involves it's so, that's the one thing about this movie. I do want to mention, it's so fucking convoluted when it comes to the exposition.
Yeah.
Because it involves a spear with Jesus' blood on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot.
It's a lot to fucking remember.
And then not only that, it's the demons aren't possessing, they're actually coming through.
There is a moment where Constantine, because of his sacrifice, he has a chance to go to heaven, and then Satan's like, nope, motherfucker, no way, man. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not.
He rips the cancer out of his lungs.
Yeah, you're gonna live forever.
Yep.
You're gonna live forever, dude. I'm not letting you go.
He rips the cancer out of his lungs and he heals them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He's like, nope. You don't get to go. You don't get it out of my clutches that easy.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
No. Then he banishes Mamon, his bad, naughty son, back to hell.
Sends him back home.
Yep.
You've been a bad boy.
And burns the wings off of Gabriel.
Yep.
And then, then John Constantine punches the angel in the face. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's the end of Constantine.
The end.
Like I said before, this is a really solid film. I'm so glad it got the resurgence it got. I think it's really well done. But like I said, there is a lot of exposition. If you're not, if this is the first time you're jumping into this movie, there's a lot of shit to fucking remember. In terms of the lore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that might be, maybe one of the reasons why it kind of fell on its face the first time.
Possibly.
You know what I mean? Because there's too much to remember.
Yeah.
Our next deadly delight, when it comes to Satanic Panic horror, is a film that,
made women's hearts throb.
oh my God.
Yes.
First of all, can I tell you?
Billy Zane.
Yeah. It made women something throb. It wasn't their hearts. I remember every girlfriend in the past that I watched this movie with was absolutely just, nutty for fucking Billy Zane. Thankfully, I'm bald, so that worked out in my favor. So
Billy Zane was a hottie back in the day. I'm just saying.
definitely in this movie for sure. But yeah, aside from the Billy Zane,
sexy too.
absolutely. Aside from the Billy Zane eye candy, this is Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, which is it's the first movie spinoff for Tales from the Crypt. There's a really interesting backstory that comes with this movie. Mel, there's Mary Lambert, who directed Pet Sematary. She was one of the first directors, and she was going to make it so Breaker, William Sadler's character, was going to be black. So, it showed that oppressed people were also charged to save lives for their entire life. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of other directors attached to this film, and then just kind of fell to the wayside. The whole point is that this movie was not attached to anything. It was just an idea. It was floating around. Oh, Tom Holland, who directed Child's Play, he was one of the first directors to actually, take this on. It was supposed to be his next film after Child's Play. So it was just like the spec script. Had nothing to do with Tales from the Crypt. And then the producers decided, okay, we're going to do some spin-off movies when it comes to Tales from the Crypt. We're just going to, tack this on.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yeah. I liked it. It's fun. It's goofy.
It's very fun.
It is a very fun movie.
It's very fun. And, so Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, like you said, it's just, it is a lot of fun. There is an exposition dump that happens in, when it comes to, these, man, just like Constantine, there's so much shit. Like, what?
There's too much
absolutely,
of that.
where did this come from? But it starts off with William Sadler. He's being chased by the Collector, which is played by Billy Zane. There's an accident with the car. Clearly, he is running from something, so he goes to this church that's now, I guess it's sort of like a flop house.
Yeah.
So you have a postal worker that works there, or that lives there, a prostitute, Geraldine, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, another back in the day. But she plays Geraldine, who is a former convict who's trying to get her leg back.
Yeah.
So Breaker, encounters these people, and then it just turns into a whole situation where, at first they try to arrest him, and then Billy Zane gets into the situation, the cops get there, and then Billy Zane punches a hole in one of the cops' heads.
Yeah.
And then
Summons a bunch of demons.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Well, through that, this thing, that's artifact that Breaker has, that William Sadler has, they're able to push him through the door. So then the Collector, Billy Zane, ends up, ripping his own hand open and just pouring his blood all over the ground. And these really cool ass fucking demons pop out.
Yep.
Great practical puppet effects for these demons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's like,
And then the one guy is taking the blood out of the artifact and he's sealing up all the windows. It turns out it's the blood of Christ or something like that.
Yeah, this is where it gets fucking wild. So they're trying to they go to William Sadler and just we're not going to do anything else until you give us some answers. And then he just goes through this whole thing where it's like, this thief is charged to, like, go to Jesus and pour, blood into this fucking thing, and it's supposed to, like, protect the universe, and there's like 7 different fucking keys and artifacts, and they're spread across the fucking world and all this other shit. And Breaker, this guy, played by William Sadler, has the last one or some shit, the last key. It's some Fifth Element shit. I don't even know why.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's some real fifth Element shit that comes out of fucking nowhere, dude. We're like watching people like get ripped apart by demons and shit, and then all of a sudden it's like fucking, earth, fire, wind, water, air. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
That's the weirdest thing about this movie. But
it gets nuts. Yeah.
I think the one thing that really stands out when it comes to this particular movie is that there weren't a lot of African American female, final girls.
Yeah.
I would honestly say that Jada Pinkett was the first one. Of the first.
Well, because, like, when it comes down to it, you had the big fight, the big showdown. The one guy dies, and he has to end up refilling the thing up with his own blood.
Billy Zane basically, like, tries to give Jada his heart.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying, Geraldine, and she spits fucking blood in his face.
Yep, she spits the blood from the thing in his face, and then she has to refill the blood that's coming from, her predecessor. Mm-hmm. And she ends up becoming the new person, the new protector.
Yeah. So she's got to run across the United States or around the world protecting this key. In the middle of all this craziness, you got the Crypt Keeper in the beginning of the movie, the Crypt Keeper at the end of the movie.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. I made my first movie. Yeah. So because of him, it's a Tales from the Crypt movie.
Right.
Our final deadly delight when it comes to Satanic Panic horror films, or Hell is for Horror, is a film that, like I said before, I defended from the very, 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 very beginning.
Yeah, you did. I
did.
Yeah, you did.
I took shit for this. I remember, I was... God, man, that was 15 years ago. So I think I went to a club one time, and I was wearing a Jennifer's Body t-shirt that I got somewhere, I can't remember. Because there wasn't a lot of merch for this movie, so I happened to find one, like, I remember I got laughed at. Not like, like, hey, man, get the fuck out of here, fucking loser, or anything like that. It was just like, you like that movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did. Thanks.
Yeah, I did, motherfucker. I love this movie. We have to talk about how mistreated this film was. It was male producers. They were looking at the male gaze the entire time. Megan Fox is hot. That was
totally.
the tag. That was the tag. Megan Fox is hot. The trailers all just showed how beautiful she was. They just missed the mark when it came to this film completely. You know what I mean? And
Well, even the girl who played Needy, she was hot too.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Megan Fox was the main attraction. Show her in a short skirt. Show her cleavage. Show her this. Show her that. So, a lot of these young boys were just basically going to this movie, thinking they're going to be able to jerk off. There's so much more to it.
Oh, yeah.
So much more to it.
So, like, the whole point with this movie is that these two girls are best friends. One's really hot. One's kind of, like, nerdy. The nerdy girl has a boyfriend. The hot girl, she just...
No, it's a she's all that situation. Amanda Seyfried is really hot if she took off her glasses.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So these two girls go to see this band, and it turns out this band is sets fire to this bar.
Low shoulder.
Yeah, low shoulder. They set fire to this bar, and then they...
To the trees.
Oh, God, that song is so annoying. They end up getting the Megan Fox character into their van. They take her out to this area, and they sacrifice her to the devil, thinking that she's a virgin, and she's not.
Yeah.
Well, because they sacrificed her and she wasn't a virgin, she came back as a succubus.
Well, no, she was not. She was not an anal virgin because she had anal sex with Chris Pratt.
Yeah, she wasn't a virgin. She's like, I'm absolutely not a virgin.
But she never had vaginal sex. She just had anal
Doesn't
sex.
matter. She wasn't a virgin.
That was the loophole.
Well, she wasn't a virgin. So basically, she comes back as a succubus, and she goes right back to Needy, and she pukes up this black stuff, this evil, vile stuff.
Well, wait a minute. So you're missing some really important things here, because you know, the whole thing with Nikolai and Low Shoulder, they're supposed to be sort of like the antithesis of what a woman goes through when it comes to, you know, an SA or a sexual assault situation. You know what I mean? They basically take this woman, they take this young girl, they take her, you know, they basically, like, they grape her without graping her, pretty much. You know, instead it becomes this whole kind of fantastical thing where this douchebag band is trying to gain fame through Satan, you know, by sacrificing a girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I could totally, like, dude, that was one of the things I loved about this movie, is just that idea. Like, I totally see somebody like Maroon 5 fucking sacrificing themselves for fame. That's the only way that could have fucking, you know, that could have happened.
Right.
Sorry to any Maroon 5 fans out there. But, yeah, you know, I mean, that's really deep. And, you know, like, when the fire happens, that's obviously that Low Shoulder had created, because, you know, like, you could see Adam, like, kind of looking around. He's like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, we're doing it, you know, because their whole thing is that, you know, I guess they sacrifice this girl, but also they sort of become folk heroes. Yeah. Because people have this, like, you know,
where they think they save people and all that.
Yeah. And the other thing that's really, like, interesting that they play into in this movie is, like, you know, it's not like, you know, she lives in fucking, you know, like Beverly Hills or some shit. This is Devil's fucking Kettle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She mentions how small it is in the beginning.
Small town USA. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not anything like.
That's why Low Shoulder decided to do the show there, because supposedly there's more virgins there than, say, like, you know,
big city.
Big city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you keep talking about this because I know you absolutely love this.
No, please just chime in. I just wanted to mention, before you start, I just wanted to mention that, you know, like, that's a very important aspect of this movie.
No, that's very true.
That was dropped to the wayside. You know, when, I mean, like, Needy is watching her friend jump into a van, and you see Megan Fox's reaction as they're driving away. You know what I mean? And they're just like, you know, and she's just like, where are we going? And she's like, you know, he's just like, oh, we're, you know, like, don't they tell her to shut the fuck up or something like that? That's just fucking scary. And you see the tears in her eyes, and you're like, looking at her, watch Needy through the window and shit. She has no idea where she's going. That's horrifying. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that's an aspect of this film that a lot of people miss, is that, like, it's got a really important fucking story to it. Yeah. You know? But anyway, please continue. You said that she was in the kitchen and...
She pukes up this black, spiky stuff. It's evil.
Yeah. And then, you know, she goes after Needy, and she goes, you know, are you afraid? You should be. And then she comes back to school, and she's all gorgeous and stuff, and...
that's because she ate somebody.
She has a penchant for eating boys now.
Yeah, she likes them boys. She likes to eat them. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Because Jennifer is, she's true evil, not high school. Mm-hmm. But the thing we should mention is that, one of her conquests, or one of her meals, is actually played by Kyle Gallner, who was in Smile and Strange Darling. Yep. I think it was one of his first movies, actually. Yeah, so there's basically a situation where, like, you know, Needy...
He's like a goth emo boy in this movie, yeah.
Yeah. He goes to Jennifer, and he goes, hey, you know, how would you like to go see the Rocky Horror Picture Show with me? And she goes, I don't like boxing movies. Yeah. So, you know, she's feasting on these boys and stuff, and, like, Needy's trying to figure out what's going on. And...
Because Needy can kind of feel and see what she's doing, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, just, you know, it does have this fantastical slant that happens where there's a confrontation, you know, between these two, and I think the thing I love about the confrontation is that, you know, it's very, very real. It's like just two girlfriends bicker with each other. Right.
She's like, no, you need to go. You need to go.
Yeah. You know, you really suck, Jennifer. You know what I mean? Like, you really you know. And then she ends up killing her boyfriend, and there's a whole thing with that. And then, so, you know, she basically, I think she gets bit by Jennifer.
Yeah, she crawls through Jennifer's window.
She becomes half a succubus, yeah.
And Jennifer bites her. And she ends up killing Jennifer. And ends up getting sent to prison.
like some mental institution or something.
Yeah. But the thing is because she got bit by...
She's a half breed.
No, she's not. She's full.
Is she full? I thought she was a half.
Full. No, she's full. It got transferred to her. So...
I remember somebody does something, I can't remember if it's an orderly or one of the patients or something, but she ends up kicking him across the fucking room because she's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So she
can levitate.
She floats up and she kicks and she gets out of there and she goes after Low Shoulder.
We have done everything we can to worship the man downstairs, and that is our show. Thank you again. Please join us next time. Where in honor of Terrifier 3, we are going to play in the Circus of Death. So we're going to be talking about clown horror films.
I hate clowns. I mean...
What's the matter? Don't you like clowns?
I don't like clowns.
Why? Don't we make you laugh?
They're creepy as fuck.
All right. So, yeah. So we'll scare you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.
You survived the most famous serial killer since Jack the Ripper. The 5-year anniversary is coming up. I think a lot of people would really like to hear from you after all this time. Want to know what it's like to be in the presence of that kind of evil. What goes through your brain when he's close enough to you. You feel his breath. I saw him today.
Who? How can you be sure it was really him?
I could feel it.
Who's this Santa? He's scaring my kid.
Yeah, he's scaring me too.
Hey, Santa's handing out presents!
Why would he come back here? Even if he was alive, which he isn't. When you want to get as far away from here as possible, as far away from you,
We both know this isn't over. I have to go back to the Terrifier.
it's still buried there, isn't it?
It might be the only thing that could stop them. Looking forward to the best Christmas ever, filled with fun, smiles, and laughter.